it's important for union folks to understand that part of the power of a union contract is that it trumps the basic law in this country of employment called the employment at will rule. The employment at will rule says that in the absence of a written contract, workers can be fired for good reason, bad reason, or no reason. This law came over from England as basically a misunderstanding of English common law. It has, for the most part, been the established law in states throughout the country, and employment law is normally at the state level, except for particular federal statutory exceptions. So an employer, if I've been working for an employer for 30 years, an employer can fire me if they don't like the color of the jacket that morning. They can just say, you're out of here, if I don't have a union contract, if I don't have a written contract. Now, there are particular legislative protections that trump the employment at will rule. For instance, if they say, well, we have too many women here, I want to fire you. Well, that violates Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. There are the civil rights statutory protections. There is the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Age Discrimination Employment Act, certain laws about pension, certain retaliatory provisions and statutes. If you file an OSHA claim or an NLRA claim, you're not supposed to be fired for that. But in general, the employment at will rule is there. And again, that is one of the powers of a union contract, that it takes people out of this. Folks in the United States tend to assume, and it is an incorrect assumption, that for some reason they can only be fired for just cause. There is no general law that requires an employer to have a good reason for firing you. Just cause provisions only come in when you have a union contract. I believe there is one state that actually has a statewide just cause provision. That's Oregon, if I remember my research from a few years ago correctly. And for a while there was a federal law kicking around about federal just cause legislation. I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon. Anyway, please do a skim of the article I've attached. It'll give you more information. It'll talk about some of the court-based exceptions, public policy, implied contract, but it also emphasizes employment at will is the general rule in the absence of a written contract.